All right, welcome to the Young Turks. Amazing show for you guys today. Good news, bad news, but mainly bad news. Okay, the elections are coming up in 12 days. That's good news because we have more information on that you're gonna like. But the bombs are terrible and
literal bombs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in the second hour, Richard Schiff is going to join us. Toby Ziegler from West Wing, now part of Ballers on HBO, which I watch, and The Good Doctor as well. Okay, so he'll join us for the whole hour in the second hour. All right, now, a couple announcements for you guys right off the top before we get to all the important news. First of all, we're starting something new, which we always do. It's fun. Okay, we're going to start a competition among the hosts. Why? I don't know. Just make sure that
because we're not stressed out enough.
Yeah, that's right.
So I just maybe he could stress us out some more.
Yeah, I just kind of want to kick their ass and see how it turns out.
Oh, you're participating in this?
Yeah. So you know how we do tyt.com/join to become a member? Well, we're gonna add a wrinkle to it, which is that you can do it by host. It's the same thing. You're gonna get the same membership. You get a $4.99 one. You can get a $10 one. If you want, click on the higher producer level ones. That's awesome.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
He's gonna add a wrinkle to that, wrinkle to my face from all the stress.
Okay, but if you want to join, you could go to one of our host pages and join from that. Okay, so we got tyt.com/jank. Mine is harder to spell. It's with a C. It's pronounced like a J. That could throw him for a loop, Anna.
Oh, I'm sure.
Anna's with only one N, though. Okay.
Yeah.
John, Hassan, Francis. Those are your 5 choices right now, and you can join through one of those.
Yeah.
We might add more choices as we go along. And then we'll keep a running tab as to who's got more people joining on their pages.
Okay, let's move on from the competition part of this, which is ridiculous. / I'm gonna kick your ass. But
it has begun, and it has already begun.
Okay. I actually really like this idea because you're gonna get specific content that relates to our particular passions in the news, right? So with John, you're probably gonna get, I don't know, how to paint figurines content. I'm just kidding.
Oh, already it has begun.
John, I love him so much. Oh. By the way, he posted on his Instagram account a picture of a figurine that he painted.
Oh, that was his?
It's amazing.
That was his. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
All right.
But in all seriousness, you're going to get political content. In the future, there might be some additional features that could include some interaction. I don't know. I think it's a great idea. I really like it.
Yeah, we're just getting started. We're just getting warms up here. For now, it's just a way to join, and by supporting one of the hosts, just to egg us on a little bit. But like Anna said, we'll add some more content to it, etc. And John does figurines and pies. Anna does woodworking. I drop elbows 24/7. Okay, I'm not saying you should join through tyt.com/jank. I'm just saying. All right, by the way, just to remind you guys, we've launched a lot of things this week. You've got the standard tyt.com/join that you could always do. That's an easy way to become a member. Get 18 of our shows. That's a lot of shows. That's like a progressive Netflix. Okay, you get them all commercial free. Okay, if you're already a member, earlier this week we launched tyt.com/upgrade. And what that allows you to do is upgrade your membership. You get a couple of extra benefits by doing that, and plus you support strong home of progressives independent programming. You could also send the gift of membership to people you know, hopefully a little bit of enlightenment and truth for them, and also helps the show, tyt.com/gift. And finally, if you just want to do a donation out of the goodness of your heart, bless your heart, again, we are a rock for progressives, and if you want to support that, tyt.com/yes is an easy way to just contribute a little bit. Okay. So we hope you participate in all that, and especially tyt.com/jank. It has begun. Okay, Casper, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I did. Today will unfortunately be the last day that one of our associate producers will be with us.
Oh.
Her name is Esther Lee. You might have seen her in some of the ads during the commercial breaks. And when she told me that she was leaving because she has a new job opportunity, to be quite honest with you guys, I cried because I love her and she does great work. So I just wanted to give her a shout out and thank her for helping us so much with the show. She's been an excellent producer. There isn't a single negative thing that I could possibly say about her. And best of luck to Esther in her future.
That's super sweet. She didn't tell me she was doing that, so now she seems like the better person, and all of a sudden you're going to go to tyt.com/Anna. I'm just playing. Esther, we love you, and we appreciate all your hard work that you put in for all these for all this time with us. And you're going to do amazing stuff going forward, obviously. All right, let's get started now with, unfortunately, disastrous news.
Yeah. All right. One day following news that a bomb was sent to the New York home of George Soros, we have learned that a number of other bombs have been sent to prominent Democratic figures and also to the New York bureau of CNN. So one of the bombs was sent to Representative Wasserman Schultz, that's Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and this was confirmed by the FBI. They said that it was a suspicious package. Also, the New York Police Department responded to a suspicious device discovered in the Time Warner Center in New York City, where CNN has a bureau. And there was another package that was addressed to former CIA Director John Brennan. Now, luckily, these packages, for the most part, were intercepted through by law enforcement or through Secret Service. There was also a device sent to the home of the Clintons. The device was found in the mailroom, and it's similar to the ones addressed to Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and George Soros. So it's hard to keep track. There have been so many of these packages sent to so many people: the Clintons, Barack Obama, George Soros, as we had reported yesterday, former CIA Director John Brennan, CNN, and also Representative Wasserman Schultz. So at the moment, we don't know anything about any potential suspects, but we do have some evidence showing that it is likely coming from one person or at least one group of people. According to law enforcement, the initial examination found the Time Warner, Clinton, and Soros devices were constructed similarly. At least one of the devices appeared to contain projectiles, including shards of glass. The devices are rudimentary but functional. Now, we have gotten some reaction from the White House, which I'll get to in just a minute, but Cenk, jump in.
Okay, so obviously huge speculation as to who did it. I'm not in the camp of like, oh, we shouldn't speculate until 17 weeks later and when we discover who it is. There are logical answers here, but of course with the caveat of you don't fully know. So, gee, I wonder who encourages violence all of the time, and is there a pattern to who it was sent? I mean, is that a real conversation? Are rational, intelligent human beings having that conversation? They were obviously sent to top Democrats and people considered to be liberal boogeyman like George Soros, CNN, et cetera. Now, I don't think CNN is in fact liberal at all, but certainly the right wing thinks that. There's now a conspiracy theory out, of course, by the right wing, aided and abetted by Rush Limbaugh, Fox News, MAGA, et cetera, saying that, it's obviously a false flag operation.
Oh, great. So let's incite further violence or upset people even more and create more division in the country. I mean, these guys are just ruthless and they just don't care. They don't care about the safety of anyone. And mind you, these bombs are being sent to people like Barack Obama and the Clintons, George Soros. Do you think that they're the ones who opened the mail? I mean, it's likely that someone who works for them or a member of Secret Service is gonna get to that package first. And then what happens if it detonates? I mean, it's horrible no matter what, obviously. But I mean, it's just such a ridiculous act of violence, and to share that ridiculous commentary about how it's a conspiracy theory just further incites people.
No, because, so that's look, just first, logically speaking, really, there's a Democrat who risked blowing up Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, George Soros, et cetera. That was a risk they were willing to take. Like, oh, well, because there's shards of glass and nails and everything else in there, it is set to explode. I mean, most of it was intercepted because CNN's a giant building. Wolf Blitzer doesn't open a mail at CNN, right? And Obama doesn't open his own mail. He's a former president, right? But you think a Democrat was gonna take the chance of blowing up those people? I mean, what a preposterous thing to say. And the only reason they say it is because of politics. And plus they know that their own followers are all conspiracy theorists. So they're all glorified Alex Joneses. So they thought, why not? So who likely did it? Obviously, a right-wing extremist very, very, very likely did it, okay, because of who the targets are. It's not complicated. So let's not have a childish conversation about who is inciting this violence. So on the one hand, you have the left wing who is being called a mob nonstop on Fox News for
practicing their First Amendment rights and calling out politicians when they're in public spaces. Some people have gone a little too far, as we've talked about. You know, the situation with Mitch McConnell where someone threw his leftovers into the sidewalk. But as far as I'm concerned, you can't equate throwing someone's leftovers on the street or sidewalk to an individual sending bombs to people.
One side is doing talking and yes, a little bit of yelling. That is core First Amendment. And the Fox News guys are like, oh, the thing that we care most about. I mean, I just had a debate with Tucker Carlson. He said the number one issue he cares most about is freedom of speech. And then guys are actually speaking to government officials. Like, it doesn't get any more core First Amendment free speech than that. They're like, mob. The other guys are sending bombs. They're sending bombs, okay? So that's what it looks like right now. If it turns out many weeks later, we find out that it was a left winger, I'll come out and lambast, destroy, pulverize anyone who sent that bomb and tell you exactly who did it. And of course we're gonna tell you who did it, but is it logical that it is a right? Of course it's logical that it's a right winger. Look at the targets. So now, look, one of the questions I asked earlier in the day in social media is, are we gonna at least call it what it is? And maybe it's because the media was also targeted. Finally, people are calling it terrorism.
We need to talk about a relatively new show called the Republic, or UNFTR. As a Young Turks fan, you already know that the government, the media, and corporations are constantly peddling lies that serve the interests of the rich and powerful. But now there's a podcast dedicated to unraveling those lies, debunking the conventional wisdom. In each episode of the Republic, or UNFTR, the host delves into a different historical episode or topic that's generally misunderstood or purposely obfuscated by the so-called powers that be. Featuring in-depth research, razor-sharp commentary, and just the right amount of vulgarity, the UNFTR podcast takes a sledgehammer to what you thought you knew about some of the nation's most sacred historical cows. But don't just take my word for it. The New York Times described UNFTR as consistently compelling and educational, aiming to challenge conventional wisdom and upend the historical narratives that were taught in school. For as the great philosopher Yoda once put it, you must unlearn what you have learned. And that's true whether you're in Jedi training or you're uprooting and exposing all the propaganda and disinformation you've been fed over the course of your lifetime. So search for UNFTR in your podcast app today and get ready to get informed, angered, and entertained all at the same time.
Now, the reality is 71% of the people killed in terrorist acts in the last decade in America were killed by right-wing extremists. And time after time after time, lone wolf, not terrorism, just an extreme person, a mentally deranged person. I mean, they have a political agenda, they state their political agenda, they have manifestos, they have flags, they kill cops, all this stuff, right? No, it's not terrorism, it's not terrorism. When it's a Muslim, terrorism is a Muslim, it's a Muslim, right? No, when you do a bombing and you intend to blow people up and you do it for a political cause, that's terrorism. Otherwise, stop using the word. So, like I said, though, in this case, most people, including Republican politicians like Marco Rubio and others, are at least using the word terror, and that is what it is. And if it turns out it's a right-winger, again, incredibly likely that it is, who incited it? Then the right wing say they need a safe space because we said Trump and the right wing keep inciting violence. The guy goes and says at his speeches, you should body slam reporters. Mm-hmm. He says the reporters are the enemy of the people. Is that complicated? He says, punch people in the face, I'll pay your legal bills. Gee, I wonder who's inciting the violence. He says people are coming to infest our country and they're paid by George Soros. Gee, I wonder how they got the idea in their head to put a bomb in George Soros's house. They say, lock her up. You should lock Hillary Clinton up. She's the enemy and she's a criminal. Gee, I wonder how they got the idea to bomb Hillary Clinton.
The media is the enemy of the people.
Yes, all of that. And so they have been inciting this violence, and it is massive from the right wing, and it is consistent from the right wing. To equate those two is absolute malpractice. It's journalistic malpractice. And so I don't care what they scream on Fox News. They're a bunch of liars on Fox News, and they do it for their own agenda and propaganda. We have bombs. They've been sent to liberals and Democrats, and it's because the right wing keeps saying over and over again, they are the enemy of the people, and you have to do something about it right away. And so apparently somebody decided to do something about it. And so I hope they catch the guy as soon as possible, no matter who he is, because whatever it winds up being, it is abhorrent, and this is unraveling, man. I mean, first it started with the rhetoric, and the right wing kept telling us, oh, no, don't worry about it. We're just having fun. We're having fun talking about smashing reporters and hurting them and assaulting them. We're having fun. We're having fun, right? Oh, Soros is evil, and he secretly controls us, and he's got to be stopped. We're having fun. We're having fun. Oh, now we're at bombs. Are we still having fun? No, we're not having fun. This is an absolute disaster, absolutely caused by the right wing and their dangerous, violent, nonstop rhetoric.
Since Trump is honestly the driving force in the division and the rhetoric that we're experiencing in the country right now, it's curious to hear what he has to say about all this. Is he going to strongly condemn what's happening with these bombs that are being sent to various liberals and Democratic political figures? Well, he did speak about this at a press conference. There are several portions that I want to show you. Let's start with the first.
I'd like to begin today's remarks by providing an update on the suspicious packages and devices mailed to current and former high-ranking government officials. The safety of the American people is my highest and absolute priority. I have just concluded a briefing with the FBI, Department of Justice, Department of Homeland Security, and the U.S. Secret Service. As we speak, the packages are being inspected by top explosive experts, and a major federal investigation is now underway. The full weight of our government is being deployed to conduct this investigation and bring those responsible for these despicable acts to justice. We will spare no resources or expense in this effort.
Okay, he's reading from a prompter, and let me explain why that's relevant. All presidents read from prompters, that's not the big deal. But Trump often does not read from a prompter. So he's reading from one there. Why? Because his aides know, oh my God, do not let him speak
off the cuff.
Okay, because what's he gonna say? He's gonna say there's good people on both sides, right? So they're like, okay, hey, knucklehead, make sure you say it is terrible and dangerous, okay? And he's a well-known coward, so he might think like, well, I mean, if my guys are bombing, maybe they'll bomb me. And okay, wait, this is important and dangerous, right? But no, but you're the guy who said after there was a shooting in a press room in Maryland, you continue to call the press the enemy of the people. And then Khashoggi was murdered. He's a columnist for the Washington Post. He was dismembered and beheaded. And then you went out and gave a speech saying it was great that Gianforte, a Republican congressman, body slammed a reporter and viciously assaulted him, right? And you celebrated that at a rally just last week. And now you turn around like, oh, golly gee, there's violence in the country. Man, we're on it.
So, with any other US president, what he said in that statement was perfectly fine. But for Trump to say that the safety of Americans is his highest and absolute priority is laughable because of all the reasons you just listed right now. I mean, he has given a nod and a wink toward violence over and over again. He did it during his campaign where he said that, he would pay for the legal bills or fees if someone had gone after a Trump protester, if one of his voters or supporters had done so. Just last week, as you mentioned, the Gianforte comment about body slamming reporters. I mean, over and over again, you hear violent rhetoric from Trump, and it has emboldened others to speak this way about the other side, about the other political side. And this nonstop fear-mongering that we see, when it comes to migrants, when it comes to anyone that they consider their opponents, that does have an impact, especially when you consider the fact that, tempers are out of control right now. And we also have severe mental health issues that go untreated in this country because of our ridiculous healthcare system. And so when you speak the way that you do, Trump, people listen. And if someone's unhinged enough to buy into your nonsense, they might act on it. And that's what we're seeing right now.
So he called the left a violent mob for actually asking for their government to do better. Okay, like, wow, how dare you talk to government officials without a check in your hand? And if you're not a lobbyist, man, you're a violent mob. And then the caravan, violent mob, nonstop, not violent mob. So what does that do? It gets people going, oh, well, then I gotta stop their violence, right? Even though that violence that doesn't actually exist. And then remember when he said in one of the rallies, hey, in the good old days, when someone spoke up like this, we took him out on a stretcher. Well, Donald Trump, congratulations. If the bombs had gone off, you would have taken people out on stretchers.
I mean, remember one of the tweets that got a lot of attention early on in his presidency was when he showed that, video of CNN, getting body slammed by a wrestler. And I mean, he keeps spreading this message of violence and division over and over again. It has an impact. The fish rots from the head down.
I mean, when right-wing white supremacists and neo-Nazis killed someone in Charlottesville, remember they actually put 30 people in the hospital. Guy ran over 30 people and killed one. Trump came out and said, well, there's good people on both sides.
It's unbelievable.
And then, golly gee, I wonder where the violence came from. I can't quite tell. I wonder if the president encouraged it. Yes, he most definitely encouraged it over and over and over again. So if you're a right-winger, please spare me your stupid, disingenuous tears about, oh my God, how could you say that? We're so triggered. How could you say that it's Donald Trump's fault and it's our fault for constantly asking for violence? Well, you do ask for violence, and now you've received it. Congratulations.
So that wasn't the entirety of his statement. I want to go to the next video where he talks about the importance of unifying.
And I just want to tell you that in these times, we have to unify. We have to come together and send one very clear, strong, unmistakable message that acts or threats of political violence of any kind have no place in the United States of America.
Of any kind, except all the kinds that you encouraged over and over and over again. All right, let's go to the next story.
All right. Although a number of bombs have been sent to prominent political Democratic figures and liberals, including George Soros, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the House Republican Campaign Committee has decided that it was a good idea to release a new ad invoking radical George Soros. Again, we learned about the bomb that was sent to his home in New York yesterday, but nonetheless, they have decided to put out these ads. Let's take a look at the first one, video 14.
I owe nothing to any leader, any corporation.
What a joke. Look at who finances Dan Fien's employer. Radical George Soros, Wall Street's biggest banks, a crooked lobbyist tied to Pelosi. They pay Fien's bills and fund his campaign because Fien's a Pelosi liberal, supports tax hikes, more debt, amnesty, even government-controlled health care.
I owe nothing.
Nonsense. Liberals own Fien. He'll never be for you. NRCC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
They sent that and ran that ad full well knowing that Soros's house had already received a bomb. They acknowledged that, and he said the National Republican Campaign Committee spokesperson said attempted violence against Mr. Soros or anyone else is repugnant, and we condemn it in the strongest possible terms. But this ad is entirely factual and is in no way a personal attack. You called him you said radical George Soros has bought this guy and he's gonna work for him. But in no way is it an attack against George Soros. So we condemn, wink, the violence against George Soros. But if you'd like to send another bomb to the radical, well, have at it, Hoss. But us, did we do it? That is unreal that they ran that ad after the bomb.
Well, they ran 2 ads after the bomb. Let's take a look at the second one.
Prima donna athletes protesting our anthem. Left-wing mobs paid to riot in the streets. Billionaire George Soros bankrolls the resistance. And Dan Feehan. Feehan's employed by a Soros-funded liberal outfit in D.C. His campaign propped up by out-of-state super PACs backed by Soros's millions. So when you see Feehan pushing government-run health care, higher taxes, amnesty, just remember, the left owns Feehan. He'll never be for you. NRCC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
So my mistake, that was actually an ad that they released last week.
Oh, well, maybe that makes sense because in that ad, it shows a left-winger throwing a bomb and saying it's Soros's fault. And then the next week, Soros receives a bomb back. And then, not totally unrepentant, they run another ad saying, yeah, it's radical George Soros. Good job, radical George Soros, go get him, go get him. Look at that, they had an ad in the, they had a thing in the ad showing left-wingers, so-called mobs, throwing bombs. Did a left-winger ever throw a bomb in any of the protests? No, never. The worst that it got was Antifa, by the way, that is short for anti-fascist, threw a water bottle at a Proud Boy in New York when 2 knuckleheads sides started fighting, having nothing to do with politicians and nothing to do with Democrats. A water bottle, okay? Now the other side throws bombs, and then they blame the left wing for violence, and they specifically target George Soros before and after the bomb. They're unreal. Okay, I got one more. So Brad Pascal, who is running the non-existent Trump 2020 campaign, he'll never make it there in my opinion, but anyway, they're collecting hundreds of millions of dollars. Now get a load of that irony, by the way. Evil George Soros is financing people. How about the $100 million you guys collected already for a campaign that doesn't even exist and is 2 years away? Right, from all those donors. Okay, so Pascal sent out a fundraising email targeting CNN after the bombings.
After the bombing?
Yeah, hold on. Now, there is a caveat there, an important caveat. But listen to what the email said. It's time for us to give the media another wake-up call from the American people. Now, he comes out and says, well, look, my bad, my mistake. That was set on auto send, okay? It was a pre-programmed automated message. So first of all, at a bare minimum, you didn't think, hey, a bomb went off in CNN. Oh, right, we had an email going out saying how you should pretty much attack CNN. Maybe I should make sure that that email doesn't go out, right? No, you're the campaign manager of a campaign that doesn't even exist. You don't have anything to do all day except pleasure donors. So, and send out these horrible, hideous emails. So you got one saying, we'll do a wake-up call on CNN. You saw they got a bomb. You didn't stop the email. Now he comes out and he says, it was pre-programmed automated message. And quote, they don't condone violence against CNN or anyone. Except for when your president was saying, while CNN was in the building and pointing at CNN, saying, oh, I love politicians who body slam and violently assault reporters. And then, of course, there was look, I didn't think the WWE thing was a big deal where he clotheslines the CNN thing, okay? But in the context of everything else, now I think maybe he did encourage people, right? And constantly talking about how the press is the enemy of the people. And then his campaign manager has the gall to say, we don't condone violence against CNN or anyone. And what do you mean, anyone? Trump says at almost every rally, assault someone and I'll pay your legal bills.
He specifically points out the media covering his rally in the back and antagonizes them. And that's what his voters love. That's what they expect at his rallies. He does it every single time. One other thing that I wanted to point to, just to show you how effective repeated speech like this is in influencing people to act a certain way. Remember, he's the president of the United States. So people do take him seriously. And if he advocates for things and if he thinks certain things are okay, others are gonna think, well, the leader of the country thinks this is okay, so why can't I do it? So let me give you an example not related to these bombs. It's a story that we didn't get a chance to do yesterday because we ran out of time. There was a man who got arrested in a Southwest flight, and he was groping a female passenger while she was sleeping. And so she immediately went to a flight attendant. As soon as they landed, he got arrested. And he reportedly told the cops that, well, the president says it's okay to grab women by the genitals, so why can't I do that?
Do you think that everyone that goes to Trump's rallies and listens to him and believes him has a really high IQ? To think that would indicate that you don't have a very high IQ. So even if it's any politician, Obama, Pelosi, Schumer, Cruz, Trump, it doesn't matter. There's a certain percentage of people who are very low IQ that are their supporters. And if you tell them to do something, they might actually do it. They might not think you're joking or that, hey, he's hypothetically telling me to assault reporters. He's hypothetically telling me that George Soros is super evil and radical and then we should do something about it, right? No, a lot of them will believe you. And among Trump supporters, I would argue that he has a much higher percentage of low IQ people who have weapons and are prone to violence. And for Trump to irresponsibly, aggressively, and over and over again, repeatedly, to say violence, violence, violence is the answer. Carry them out on stretchers, hit them, I'll pay you. Assault the reporters and then point to CNN, okay? And one of the guys at the rally, many of them were yelling at Jim Acosta, et cetera. One of them did I'm gonna slit your throat action. Now, Trump didn't necessarily see that, but it was in the news the next day. So Trump could come out on any one of those days, could do a press conference. He loves to talk to the press, right? He could do an interview and say, hey, listen, guys, I'm kidding around. Don't actually assault a reporter. I mean, that would be the bare minimum he could do, right? And I saw that, or somebody told me about the cutting the throat sign. That's terrible. That's totally unacceptable. Look, I love my supporters, but I don't want you to get carried away. Never, ever, ever should you do violence. He never says that. He never says that. So today, with the most disingenuous, oh, by the way, and it's in a prompter, I am told that I'm supposed to say we do not condone violence. That's funny. I condone it every day. Anyway, and I am for unity. I'm not for unity. I'm for killing kicking the other side's ass and bashing them and smashing them and assaulting them.
Give him a couple days.
Much
like any other controversy where he starts off by being careful, he starts off by reading the script and he follows the orders of his aides. He later goes off script, speaks off the cuff, and says some of the most hideous things you could ever imagine. Like one example is just what happened with the Kavanaugh hearings, right? I mean, he started off by being, and we gave him credit for that. He started off by being careful. He appeared to be respectful toward Dr. Blasey Ford. And then later, boom, he goes off script, starts mocking her, makes fun of her at a rally and has everyone there laughing at her.
Just a matter of time. So that's right. He read from a prompter, carefully written script, because they know the idiot can't go off script because he'll say something monstrous, and does not have the intelligence to be able to put together 2 sentences actually condemning the violence, and doesn't have it in his heart. So just a matter of time before you're right. He'll say, well, there's bombers on all sides. There's good people on all sides. There's bombers on all sides. It's really the left wing's fault. And by the way, remember, he's the conspiracy theorist in chief. He's the one who started the Barack Obama birther conspiracy. He believes in like nonstop conspiracies. He went on Alex Jones' show, said it was a fantastic show. His son, Don Jr., constantly tweets about conspiracies. So do you think it's gonna take long for him to join Rush Limbaugh, Fox News hosts, and Twitter guys that are today talking about, oh yeah, it's a false flag operation? Don Jr. probably is gonna take about a day to do it. Donald Trump Sr. will probably take 2 days before they join the false flag operation conspiracy theory, right? And then blame the left for getting bombed. Get a load of that. They will blame the left. They're doing it right now. They will blame the left for potentially getting murdered. Amazing. So wait for it from Trump, but it has already begun from all of his supporters. In fact, when we come back, we're gonna talk about that. We'll show you so you can see it with your own eyes. All the right-wingers begin to say, oh, it was the left's fault for getting bombed. Okay, when we come back. All right, back on the Young Turks. All right, we've unfortunately got more on the bombs. Let me tell you about it. Sorry, we'll do your comments a little bit later in the show. Okay, so let's go to me. Okay. So we've got bombs now that went to George Soros' house, Bill and Hillary. At TYT, we frequently talk about all the ways that big tech companies are taking control of our online lives, constantly monitoring us and storing and selling our data. But that doesn't mean we have to let them. It's possible to stay anonymous online and hide your data from the prying eyes of big tech. And one of the best ways is with ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN hides your IP address, making your activity more difficult to trace and sell to advertisers. ExpressVPN also encrypts 100% of your network data to protect you from eavesdroppers and cyber criminals. And it's also easy to install. A single mouse click protects all your devices. But listen, guys, this is important. ExpressVPN is rated #1 by CNET and Wired magazine. So take back control of your life online and secure your data with a top VPN solution available, ExpressVPN. And if you go to expressvpn.com/TYT, you can get 3 extra months for free with this exclusive link just for TYT fans. That's expressvpn.com/TYT. Check it out today. Hillary Clinton's house, Barack Obama's, CNN, John Brennan, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, etc. So obviously targeting liberals and Democrats. Most obvious thing in the world, all of those people are Trump critics. John Brennan in specific is an interesting one because he's not particularly liberal even, but he is a very vocal Trump critic. And so these are all sent to people on that side. So of course, just a matter of time before the right wing starts a conspiracy theory that the left wanted to be bombed, and it was actually the left bombing the left. Because yeah, people love being murdered. That's such a great idea, right? The bombs are real. There's shrapnel and glass, etc. They're set to explode. Thank God they haven't exploded because they sent people like Barack Obama who has Secret Service protection, okay? And CNN, which has a lot of precautions, etc. So thank God none of them went off. So of course, here comes the MAGA guys on Twitter. I saw that headline, I didn't even read the story. I'm like, yeah, right-wingers on Twitter, of course they're gonna say it's a false flag. They're lunatics, that's not at all surprising. But there's actually a bunch of prominent names in here. It's not just random dudes. And then today, here they come, Rush Limbaugh and Fox News. So I'm gonna get to those guys in a second. Let me read you some of the tweets. There's way too many to read. But here, the Persistence writes, first, George Soros, now Hillary Clinton. These suspicious packages are false flags. Hashtag Clintons, hashtag Wednesday wisdom. Oh, that's a lot of wisdom there on Wednesday. And hashtag the Clintons. So is that, I guess the theory is the Clintons wanted to bomb themselves. Okay, all right, fascinating. Kurt Schlichter, a guy who's fairly well known in conservative circles. Now I'm really sure it's a hoax. Of course you are. Frank Gaffney, a well-known monster, a bigoted guy who is invited to most conservative outings, sometimes banned from conservative outings, but often welcome. Runs a whole think tank. Let's look at what he's thinking about today. He writes, none of the leftists ostensibly targeted for pipe bombs are actually at serious risk since security details would be screening their mail. So let's determine not only who is responsible for these bombs, but whether they were trying to deflect attention from the left's mobs.
Okay, no, from the left's mobs. Okay, which party, which group, which ideology led to the murder of a protester? Was it the left, or was it these right-wing white nationalists who decided to do a Nazi march in Charlottesville, Virginia? Because that's what led to the death of someone on the left, okay? You wanna talk about violent mobs? I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how they spin things and deflect all the blame toward liberals.
See, some of the top Democrats and liberals in the country were about to be killed, so you see how it's the left's fault. I mean, it sounds like a joke. It sounds like an Onion article, right? But they're not joking. Here's Michael Flynn Jr., son of Michael Flynn, former National Security Advisor to Donald Trump. He writes, awfully suspicious timing between this and Soros. Hashtag just saying. Yeah, you moron. One guy, it appears, or one group, sent bombs to all the top Democrats and liberals in his mind, and Trump critics, at the same time. Aha. So it must be the left. Well, I thought Soros funded everything on the left. Did he fund his own bombing? But logic is irrelevant to these people. One more from Michael Flynn Jr. He says, folks, deleted a few tweets, not all, related to this ongoing craziness. I don't know if it's a false flag. However, I hate the timing as it provides a perfect narrative for the Democrats going into the midterms. Okay. So he apparently said worse things in the deleted tweets, but is now fairly convinced that it's a false flag operation timed to the midterms. Or maybe your side are a bunch of lunatics and conspiracy theorists and egged on other lunatics until they decided they had to take action in the form of bombings. And 71% of the extremist murders in this country in the last decade are by right-wingers. So it wouldn't be out of character at all. You know how many are done by left-wing and all other groups? So 71% are right-wing, 26% are Muslim extremists in this country, which is terribly disproportionate. So plenty of blame for Muslim extremists, right? So what's left? 3% for leftists and all other groups. 71% for the right wing. Gee, I wonder if it's 50-50 or if it's the left that's the mob. No, it is consistently and empirically the right wing. Okay, so here comes Rush Limbaugh. Let's listen.
Republicans just don't do this kind of thing, even though every event like mass shootings. Remember, every mass shooting there is, the Democrats and the media try to make everybody think right off the bat that some Tea Partier did it or some talk radio fan did it or some Fox News viewer did it. Turns out it's never, ever the case. Not one of these bombs went off. And if a Democrat operative's purpose here is to make it look like, hey, you know, there are mobs everywhere. The mobs are not just Democrat mobs. I mean, look at this. You've got people here trying to harm CNN and Obama and Hillary and Bill Clinton and Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz. And, you know, it might serve a purpose here. And by the way, guess what's also not in the news now? And that's the other mob that's finding its way north through Mexico, attempting to crash the U.S. border at or near Election Day. That story is off. There's only so much you can say about this incident until we have more information about it. Speculating would be fun, but since we condemn all bombs here at the EIB network, we don't want to go too far down this road.
Oh, we just want to go a little bit down this road and speculate about how it was a left wing that wanted to bomb itself. But we don't want to go too far down this road.
No, he mentioned none of them went off, as if whoever sent these bombs intended for them to not go off. The reason why they didn't go off is because they were intercepted by authorities who then detonated the bombs safely. That they were set to go off, but they were intercepted.
They actually exploded. So when they detonated them, yeah, the shrapnel and the glass, et cetera, flew out like it was intended to do. So thank God nobody got injured. Now let's turn it around for a second. Imagine if Rush Limbaugh had received a bomb in his house. No, for God's sake, don't ever anybody do that, right? But he's doing this thing of like, oh, it's no big deal, right? If Rush Limbaugh and Mitch McConnell, Donald Trump, et cetera, and Mark Levin or Laura Ingraham had received bombs, do you think Rush Limbaugh would come out and go, I mean, really? They didn't even go off. What's the big deal? I got a bomb in my house, but it didn't go off. It could have killed me. He doesn't have kids, but it could have killed people's kids, but it didn't go off. It went off later, but who cares? Do you think he would have said that? Or do you think he would have said, I knew it, the left-wing violence, the mob of the left wing, they were gonna murder us all, they're all terrorists. You know that's what he would have said. And by the way, if you sent a bomb to Rush Limbaugh, et cetera, yeah, you'd be a terrorist. It doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. By definition, you send bombs to people, you're a goddamn terrorist. And I like how he flippantly said there, like, at the EIB network, we condemn all bombs. Well, how mighty Christian of you. Thank you, what a concession. And then if you notice, one person who received a bomb was Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And he called her Blabbermouth Schultz. Look, I don't like Debbie Wasserman Schultz politics either. This is not the day to call her Blabbermouth Schultz when someone likely on your side was trying to blow her up. It could have blown up a staffer or one of her kids. And yeah, let's make fun of her in Mexico. I mean, just when you think they can't get any lower.
Can I read a headline from Politico that I just got a notification for? President Trump has been accused of recklessly inciting hate and anger. Today, however, he spoke against political violence.
Oh, well, 50-50. 50-50. After the bombs, he once spoke against reckless violence. All the other times he encouraged it. But we're calling it 50-50 today.
I mean, that headline. And headlines matter. Most people don't read the full article. They don't read the nuances. They don't even care to look into the nuances. They read the headline, they read a few paragraphs, maybe a few sentences, and that's it.
And finally, Fox News doesn't want to get outdone by these guys. They're like, oh, there's monsters on Twitter, there's monsters on the radio. Hold my beer. So here comes that Fox News analyst.
We're starting to see a pattern. We are already seeing a little bit of a pattern. But of course, they're going to be looking at this as a potential terrorist motive, whether it's on one side or the other. And as you correctly pointed out earlier, this doesn't necessarily mean that someone is espousing some sort of conservative ideology and targeting Democrats. It could be someone who's trying to get the Democratic vote out and incur sympathy. So it could go either way.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, and that's why we always caution against that speculative. And I understand, why investigators say, well, we want to start, and if arrows are pointing in one direction, kind of follow that. But they could be the same facts for different reasons, as you're pointing out.
Oh yeah, it could go either way. I bet if Fox News had received a bomb at their headquarters like CNN did, and Trump had received a bomb, and some of their hosts had received bombs, they'd say, oh, it could go either way. Left-wing mob, no, we would never blame them. They blame left-wing mobs that don't even exist. They blame them for violence that doesn't exist because they yelled at Mitch McConnell or they yelled about Kavanaugh at the Supreme Court door. They're like, they raised their voice. They raised their voice, mob violence, etc. But I bet if they received a bomb, they say, oh, no, it could go either way. Here's a former FBI Assistant Director, Chris Swecker. I heard that the FBI was totally liberal. What happened? Anyway, so Chris Swecker comes out, and then Harris Faulkner, Melissa Francis, they're like, oh, that's such an interesting point. It might have been the Democrats who did it. Come on. Okay, so there you go. There's the right wing in full display. Instead of saying, my God, I can't believe there was a bombing, or bombs were sent to these officials, and of course they put out polite statements, Fox News does, etc. We condemn bombings, they're a bad thing. Oh, well, thank you, I appreciate it. And then they turn around and go, get on air and blame the Democrats. I say unreal, but unfortunately, it's very real, and it's persistent, and they never stop doing it. So there you go. The monsters amidst us. Okay, all right, we got to take a break. Speaking of monsters, when we come back, Ted Cruz. We hope you're enjoying this free clip from the Young Turks. If you want to get the whole show and more exclusive content while supporting independent media, become a member at tyt.com/join today. In the meantime, enjoy this free segment. All right, breaking news. I think this got reported a little bit before we got on air. Eric Holder and Maxine Waters apparently have also received suspicious packages. I can't tell which group they're targeting. I can't quite tell. Maxine Waters, out of all the congressmen, I wonder why Maxine Waters. Trump critics? No, probably not Trump critics. Okay. Anyway, Alan writes in the member section, once again, the right wing projects like crazy. They would send bombs to themselves to appear like victims they are in their minds. I mean, look, I don't know any left winger who talks about doing false flags operations, right? It's not, but the right wing talk about it nonstop. So anyway, in this case, it's against the left. Jim Lawrence on YouTube Super Chat says, I know the right loves to use the stock market to say the economy is doing well. Well, the Dow is now lower than when the tax cuts went into effect. So that's true. The market has crashed a couple of times, and they've lost all the gains of this year.
Real quick, there was this great article, I forget where I read it, it was somewhere credible, that did an analysis of all the major companies that did stock buybacks, and they found that even with the massive and record stock buybacks that these corporations did with their tax cuts, they were still underperforming. So, I mean, tick, 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 tick.
Yeah, I told you there'd be a correction. I told you.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just want to point out, we got a crazy day. We got Richard Schiff coming up in a little bit, and we got old school later tonight with Ben and I. But one more thing, on Rebel headquarters tonight, here come Ojeda.
Really?
Yes, Richard Ojeda is going to be on Rebel headquarters and Iron Stash. You want to talk about a powerful Rebel headquarters, Randy Bryce and Richard Ojeda on the same Rebel headquarters tonight. Don't miss it. And of course, if you're a member, you get all of this. So tyt.com/jank to to become a member.
You're the worst. You should punish him for that by going to tytnetwork.com/Anna, 1N.
Okay.
And sign up for membership.
Yeah, all right.
Damn it, why? Why would you make me more stressed out than I already am? Okay, all right, moving on.
Okay.
So I know this is a strange story to follow the bomb stories that we just did, but I feel like we need to kind of break up the sad, devastating stuff that's going on in the world today. It appears that Ted Cruz, who is running for re-election and is facing a tight race with Beto O'Rourke, has renewed the URLs sleazydonald.us and daffydonald.us.
Well, good for him.
Now, these are URLs that he purchased back in 2016 when he was running against Donald Trump, and when it was very clear that they didn't like each other. Remember, Trump said that Cruz's wife was ugly. He also spread some conspiracy theory about how Cruz's father was the Zodiac killer. Just
no. Cruz's. Let's get our theories.
Yeah. It was all nonsense, so it's hard to remember.
That Cruz's dad helped kill JFK.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Cruz himself is a Zodiac killer, but that's, to be fair, that's not Donald Trump. That's the left wing making fun of him. They don't actually believe he's a Zodiac killer.
I knew that he accused his dad of being some sort of killer.
That's right.
The person who killed JFK. Wow. Anyway, so they didn't like each other very much, and that was when Ted Cruz went out of his way to buy these URLs. Well, the URLs were set to expire, and it appears that he renewed them, okay? So let's go to graphic 13. The Who Is record wasn't updated again until February of this year, when the expiration date for these URLs was changed to March of 2019, okay? So usually when you do this, because I know, if you want to automatically renew the URL when it's about to expire, it will renew on the day that it was set to expire. But that's not what happened here. It actually renewed a month before they were set to expire. Homeboy still hates Trump, and I think that's pretty clear.
No, but here's what I love about it. So let's go to graphic 37. I don't know if you've ever seen this picture before, but after Donald Trump had already called his wife ugly, etc. I don't. Again, I'm not sure you've ever seen this on the Young Turks before, but Ted Cruz wound up phone banking for Donald Trump. Have you seen that picture before? Have we showed it before?
It's only my favorite picture ever.
And at the time, he's like, oh, no, Donald Trump is fantastic and you should vote for him. And then just recently, a couple of days ago, Donald Trump went and said, oh, no, he's not lying. He went and did a rally for Ted Cruz in Texas and said, he's not lying, Ted, anymore. He's beautiful, Ted. So let me show you graphic 36, beautiful Ted, at the rally with bowed head. Oh, that's so sad. That's so wonderfully sad. But meanwhile, Ted Cruz is renewing those websites meant to attack Donald Trump, knowing that he might run against them one day. They didn't automatically renew. As Anna pointed out, it is clear that they renewed them proactively, okay? Someone in Cruz's camp did that, okay? Mm-hmm. As he's bowing his head, he's thinking, I'm gonna get you later, you daffydonald.us. Because that's the kind of rat snake Ted Cruz is.
Yeah. So how do we know that Ted Cruz or his campaign renewed this? Well, it's because the contact email belonging to these URLs goes to tedcruz.org.
That's a pretty good sign. By the way, why doesn't it go to tedcruz.com? Because the knucklehead forgot to buy it. And if you go there now, all it says is, please elect Beto O'Rourke.
So good. No, but here's the funny thing. So he also, well, we can't say with complete certainty, but sleazydonald.com and daffydonald.com have also been purchased, but they're private. Mm-hmm. And they were also renewed on the exact same day.
Yeah.
So I think that you can make a pretty safe, educated guess that he owns those URLs, but he took the extra precaution of making that private. Because it's true, I mean, the US URL is something that people are less likely to look into.
Yeah. Okay, look, I love the idea that he got sleazydonald.com, but forgot to get tedcruz.com. Now, he also forgot to get tyt.com/Cruz, which is where you could donate to an ad we're running against Ted Cruz. I'll show you the thermometer on that and how much we've raised. But let's look at that ad real quick. This is Ted Cruz. That's him phone banking for Donald Trump after Trump called his wife ugly. Look at him. What kind of a man does that? Oh yeah, Trump also said his father was probably a murderer. He made calls on behalf of Trump after being unmanned by him. You're looking at the saddest man in America. Ted Cruz 2018. Pathetic.
Pathetic.
All right, let's take a look at tyt.com/Cruz, see how much we've raised. This is all money that you guys have given, $22,672. Look, yesterday I updated you guys. We spent about 10% of that so far. We're spending every day on digital ads, Facebook and YouTube. And just the Facebook ads on just 10% of that money already reached 500,000 people in Texas. Okay. That's fun. Now, finally, I would like to apologize to someone in this story because I called Ted Cruz a rat snake earlier. And I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to say bad words about animals because
animals are innocent.
They are innocent. Don't compare them to Ted Cruz. Don't be that guy.
Yeah, no. Sorry, rats and snakes. Okay.
All right.
All right. Now let me go to a next story for you guys. Okay.
Are you?
I'm doing it.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, you thought you were doing it?
No, I'm ready to do it. But
okay. Oh, you
it's
didn't.
a little tricky pizzicky, so I'm glad you're gonna do it.
Oh God! I hope you guys got the graphics from yesterday.
I don't think they do.
Oh, disaster.
It's okay. Just read them. We'll put them in post.
Okay. All right. From whenever we were doing the story.
We got to take a break. Sorry.
No, we got to wrap, and Richard Schiff's coming. All right, guys, this is a great story. We'll get to it later. And make sure you check out the interview that I did yesterday with TYT Investigates crew, and we talked about this story as well as many others that they broke. We'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to the full episode of The Young Turks. Support our work, listen ad-free, access members-only bonus content, and more by subscribing to Apple Podcasts at apple.co/TYT. I'm your host, Cenk Uygur, and I'll see you soon.